Hi. I would regularly travel the countryside looking for images to paint. When my 3 children were small, they used to always come with me. But there was one Saturday afternoon, we went for a drive and we came across a beautiful old farmyard between Blackskull and Dromore, owned by the McBride family. They very kindly allowed us really to overtake the farmyard for the day. Children loved playing in round the farm, and also they were allowed to explore the old linen factory and its grounds. I did lots of sketches and took photographs that day, but never took anything any further. But I always remembered this farm and the lovely weather and the fantastic day we'd had there. So about 15 years after that, this time with my little dog Willow in tow, I decided I wanted to revisit it and see if it was still standing. So set off, and unfortunately couldn't find it, and went out a few times but just couldn't find the road that it was on, so I had to resort actually to Google Maps, something that probably wasn't even invented the first time that we went out. But I did eventually find the farmyard. It was in more disrepair, but it was just as fascinating and just as beautiful. So I did loads more sketches and drawings at that time, and went in and out of all the old stables, looked around the old linen factory, and it just absolutely fascinated me. When leaving the farm on the 3rd day, I saw this most beautiful chestnut horse walking in one of the paddocks, and it actually ducked its head to get under one of the huge old trees, and I just put the brakes on the car, quickly got the camera and managed to capture this beautiful image. Came home and painted a beautiful long oil painting of this scene. There was a field of buttercups and everything else was green apart from the horse. It was absolutely amazing. But I still hadn't finished with this farmyard. I went back many more occasions, and on one of these occasions I came up with the idea of the corner. It was basically going in and out of all the old stables and seeing the amazing things that were in them, and the way you could look out into the farmyard and the courtyards and see how everything was just caving in on itself, which was so sad because all the buildings are listed. And the house itself, actually, the land was bought in 1710 and the house was built by 1720, so right back to the plantations, which was absolutely amazing. I'd always wanted to produce a door. I had done a window at this stage, but a door always fascinated me, and I thought I was going to make a door, but actually I made a doorway, and it was the view out of one of these beautiful old stables into the old courtyard that really caught my imagination. I wanted to draw the viewer into a corner. Usually paintings are hung on walls and corners are discarded and not used for any purpose whatsoever, and I really wanted to have something that I could put in the corner of a room that would really take you into another place. I didn't want the viewer just to see a painting on the wall. I wanted to create a corner that would lead you in to a new place, a forgotten place, a whole new place, a different part of the room, rather than just be seen as a painting on the wall. And this is what I found when I was out doing so many sketches and drawings, where to find all these hidden places. I studied in great depth how the stables were constructed, and some of the pieces in them and the wood, and it was just so old, but yet still usable, even though they had been so well used over the years, just been so well constructed when they were first made. Even down to an old cracked mug sitting on a windowsill, the detail was amazing, and how nature was sort of wanting to come back in and envelop everything and to take it all back down to its ground roots. The walls were once flat and smooth, solid surface, but now they were starting to move and change, and nature in this place in particular was successfully reclaiming a once major industry, the linen industry in County Down. While on holiday in Tenerife, I started to design how I was going to actually construct this piece, and designed how the panelling would work so that it would work perspectively from no matter what angle you would approach the corner. So I spent 2 weeks designing and working out the complexities of how this would work. In the end, I produced 3 designs and went with the final design, and I left all my designs and drawings in with Milligan Brothers in Grey Abbey, and they spent about 6 months constructing these panels for me to work on. I thought I would have started painting with the view into the courtyard, but actually the small window on the wall drew my attention first, and I made all the ceramic leaves coming through the windowsill and the mug that was on the windowsill. The poem on the windowsill is actually from that area, and it fascinated me because it was all to do with an owl, and obviously with my surname being Lightowler. To create the bricks on the panel, I just sketched it first onto the panelling. I actually cut up different sizes of old credit cards and used those to apply the paint to get the texture. And when air bubbles formed when the paint was dry, I painted darker in the centre and lighter around the outside to give the real texture of these amazing old bricks. The painting of the courtyard took a very long time and required not only paint and brushes, but step ladders and stools and cushions and everything to make me comfortable while I was trying to paint this huge piece. To create this oil painting and to get the texture in the oil required a lot of imagination and experimentation, and it was great just pushing the oils to their limits to see what effects I could make with them, and that was great to do. Spending so much time in this piece really drew me even more into the history of the area, and I researched it in even more depth. I wanted some of these stories that I found sort of preserved and made more known, so as I say, I put one of them onto the mug, but I also put the writing on the wall, literally, with a very small 10-0 brush. I wrote a lot of the information that I found out about that area and the linen industry at that time. The writing on the wall isn't immediately obvious, just like the way all our local history and our lovely old buildings are just slowly collapsing and getting covered up, and we're not even noticing that they're disappearing before our eyes. I've painted many old beautiful farmyards before and gone back years later just to find that they're completely demolished without a trace left, and I fear this is what will happen to this, even though it is a listed building, and that's very sad. Putting these images with the story behind them into an oil painting will go some way to preserve the local history on our doorstep, the way of life that has formed our surroundings, and the amazing potential for art